I can hear the person talking to me, or I can see the person.
And it's not spiritual?
It's all spiritual. It's all part of this. It's accepted. It's normal for people to go through that. A lot of people who go through grief have those symptoms.
I see.
And then sometimes too, when we lose people or things that are close to us, some people have different myriad of emotions. So the common one is sadness. A sad sadness, people can become angry, some people can become irritable, so every little thing they are blowing off. People express their grief differently, people mourn differently, and that's what we have to appreciate. And then sometimes too, we have behavioral problems. So, not eating, not sleeping, lashing out at people. Some people do extreme things, extreme behaviors, throwing tantrums, so especially for children.
Right.
And then some people may regress. So, for children, things that they may have done in the past, maybe they stop wetting their beds now because of the grief. They start wetting their beds again, or they start sucking their thumb. So there are behavioral things that changes to grief. And then aside that, so we have the crying, so the sleeping, all those things compromise grief. And we medically we allow 6 to 12 months for you to grieve. Some people do get well after a year. Some people don't. Some people by 6 months they are fine. When we say you're fine, it means you're no longer thinking about the person all the time. You're not yearning to be with the person. You're not looking for the person in the crowd. You're not having sleep problems. Like you are functioning. You're able to go to work. You're able to still involve yourself in some social activities, even though some people find it difficult to come back into society when they grieve. So grief looks different on everybody. And so it's important that we appreciate that it can change for some people. And when it changes, that's when we have to see what's actually going on. So we have normal grief and we have abnormal grief. So for abnormal grief, when the grief process goes on for more than a year, we say it's becoming prolonged. You are supposed to grieve for some time. Now, for more than a year, you're still thinking, I want to be with this person. I want to take my own life and be with the person. I can't function anymore. I had a patient, 70-year-old or 76. She had married for 50 years and lost her husband. The family noticed that she was always talking about him. 2, 3 years down the line, she's still talking about the man all the time. That's not normal. That's abnormal grief. Sometimes we don't recognize these things because we think, oh, it's normal. I mean, it's okay. But then when it gets to a point where you see that all the conversations are centered around this person, everything the person is avoiding things that will remind. So she stopped driving because anytime she's driving, the husband used to be by her. So she's avoiding driving. So people tend to avoid the things that they used to enjoy doing because of the grieving process. Also, some people also may mummification. There's something called mummification. So they don't touch anything in the room, nothing. Everything stays the same. 5 years down the line, everything in the person's room is intact. They don't want to touch. They don't want to touch the things happening. They don't want to touch the person's belongings because in their minds, the person will come back. So now then, that becomes also like a prolonged grief. We can also have anticipatory grief. So, I lost a friend to cancer recently, and before she passed, I had anticipatory grief. So I cried, told her how much we loved her, got her flowers, showed her so much love, prepared for her to go. So anticipatory grief, you kind of grieve the person when the person is alive, and it helps people to get some form of closure before they go. Then you can also have disenfranchised grief. So that kind of grief, it may be for the married men, for instance, if they have a side chick, now the side chick has broken up with them, they're grieving, but they can't tell anyone.
They can tell their wives.
So it's the same franchise. Like you are the only one going through it because you are the only one. You can't tell anyone. So you are
Exactly.
going through it yourself. Sometimes too, when people miscarry, we don't talk about it. They go through the grief. They go through it by themselves. And then we can also have distorted grief. So that's when people do unusual things. So breaking things, destroying things, acting unusually. That may require you to even bring the person to us, but like, no, there's something is off with this person. The behaviors are too unusual. So that one we call it distorted grief. And there are some risk factors that makes grief complicated.
I think that
yeah.
would get to the risk factors. But tomorrow, the nation goes to a funeral. You're a medical person. I know that, people are watching and maybe they anticipating that, oh, tomorrow is just going to be one very sad day. And you might not necessarily want to grieve because you're closely related to the person, but you just feel for the widows.
Yeah.
You feel for their friends. You feel for people that they've probably touched their lives, right? So you're anticipating that by the end of tomorrow, a bucket is full. I catching it. So in a situation like this, and it's not just one person, it's a myriad of people. What do we do?
It's okay to grieve. It's normal. You see, it's necessary to grieve.
It's necessary.
Yeah, it's part of human nature to grieve. And so it's necessary that we go through the grieving process so that we can actually reconcile what is happening externally with what we feel inside. So we need to be able to grieve so that we are able to reduce the emotional attachment we have with the deceased or the people that we've lost or the item or the pets or anything that we've lost. It's important. So there are functions of grief. And it's also important so that we're able to form new connections after that. So it's a process that is difficult, but it's necessary for us to move on from it. Not immediately. It's okay to grieve. We all grieve differently. When someone is crying, you don't say, "Oh, stop crying." You don't minimize the grief. It's okay. Cry. That's how you express yourself. It's important. People express themselves differently. So we have to allow ourselves to grieve. Go through the process. We'll be fine. If after a year we are still not fine,
Then we can
know that but it's okay to grieve. It's okay. It's okay to support the people who lost loved ones. It's okay to be there, listening, giving the necessary support. Not saying stop crying. It's okay to cry because it's better to let it out than to keep it in. That reminds me, there's also something called delayed grief.
Delayed.
Yeah, so we are all crying now. We are all sad now. But some people will not express those things now. They'll wait later, 2 years later, then they are now remembering that, oh, I went through this difficult time and I wasn't able to cry. What was wrong with me? And then they start grieving. So it's also a form of a complicated grief.
Is that going to be my story? Because I was telling somebody, I think 2 days ago, about the fact that I lost my dad, and it was like I wasn't grieving. I was just head on, strong. Till tomorrow, I feel like, okay, I have something I have to do. There's some sort of closure that I need, but I still don't have it, and I don't see why I should be all crying and teary. I still haven't brought myself to grieve officially, So is that like, that's a delayed grief?
Yeah, it's part of delayed grief. So if we are not able to grieve when we are all grieving and yours comes a bit later, it's a part of complicated grief, and it's okay to let it out.
How long is normal and how long is just not normal?
So the grieving process, as I said, is between 6 to 12 months.
I mean, for the delayed grief.
Oh, so anything after 6 to 12 months is delayed.
Okay. I
Anything after
see.
6 to 12 months is delayed because the normal grieving process should be between 6 to
To
12
12
months.
months.
So after that, if the person is still like you've not grieved, it's important that you find a way to have that closure so that you can move on.
And then there's this other part. I mean, so it's also quite personal.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how to put it. I started to maybe do some, let's say, play keyboard, which is actually the thing, to play keyboard. And it was something that was engineered by my mom, right? And she was so particular about that. You would play the keys before you do your homework, and after your homework you play a little, and then you eat, you come back to it, and all that. You could see her input. She was always very consistent with where you sing, what you do, and all of that. Then she passes, right? And then I'm behind the keyboard and I'm playing. I'm like, I can't do this. And from like 16 years till now, I can't even play the keyboard.
Yeah.
Because every time you do it, you feel like, oh, the person is closer, the person is watching, the person is crying, you begin to cry.
Yeah.
What kind of abnormal grieving is that?
Oh, no, it's actually accepted.
Is it?
Yeah, that it's not that it's all the time. You don't think about her all the time, like every day. No, but then when I do some activities, you do remember her. So on some anniversaries, you may remember her. Some birthdays, it's okay. We don't want you to cut off the memories of the person off. But we're just saying that it should not affect your functioning. It should not affect your work. It should not affect how you're relating with other people. You are still able to go to church, you're still able to come to work, you're still able to do other things. So that doesn't make it abnormal.
Okay.
It's okay to remember her because it was a special bond that we had. So it's fine.
I see. Anyway, so now let's get to the red flags or risk factors
Okay.
of grieving.
Okay, so I mean, complicated grief. So if the loss was like what we all went through last week, Wednesday, it was so sudden and so unexpected and so disastrous and so painful. Yeah, it was so tragic. That is a big risk factor for developing complicated grief from how we lost our leaders. And then also, if you were not talking to the person, for instance, or the relationship was strained, or you just fought with the person. So imagine a husband and wife, you just fought, you separated, and now the husband is gone. You're thinking, this is also a risk factor because then you keep wondering over and over again, why is this happening? Why did it happen? You're not able to say I love you for the last time. And then so that is a risk factor for developing complicated grief. And other risk factors could be that if the loss is something that you found you had a very deep emotional attachment to it, or if it's a loss of a spouse, a loss of a child, that's also very difficult and that could lead to complicated grief. Now, in grieving, we have 5 stages
Okay.
that we have, that research has shown to exist. Okay. I mean, examining a lot of people who are grieved. And these stages are the first stage is denial. So when something tragic happens or when you lose a loved one, the first thing a lot of people do is to deny it. They're like, this is not true. It can't be true. I don't accept this. And that's why a lot of people go to the mortuaries, go and pray for the person to wake up. Like you are trying to do something, you are in denial. Like, no, this cannot be happening. It can't be. So you are waiting for the person to pick up the call. You are calling the person, you say, oh, why won't you pick my call? Because they're in denial. And then the next stage will be anger. So a lot of people get upset, like, why me? Why is this happening to me? They get angry at the loss that has occurred. And then they go to the other stage called bargaining. So if, for instance, a person had cancer, is having anticipatory grief, knows that end, the end of this journey is death. They are grieving. They can be like, oh God, if you give me 2 more years, I'm going to be a pastor. If you give me 2 more years, I'm going to win thousands. Like you're trying to bargain. Or if a man loses a relationship with a woman, they're like, oh, can we just be friends? At least. Like you're trying to bargain. Then after bargaining, depression sets in. So people can get depressed. They are now seeing that, oh, this thing is really real. They're feeling sad. They're not eating. They're losing interest in things that they are detaching themselves from the thing that they are grieving for. And then finally, we have the acceptance stage where you accept that this has happened. So how do we go on from here? What do we do after this has happened? How am I going to cope with this? And it's important to know that these stages are not, it's not by force that people go through denial, anger, bargaining. Like it's not, the stages are not fixed in stone. Somebody can be in denial, just go to bargaining and just accept. Or somebody may also get stuck at one stage and not move on from it. So they'll be in denial forever, or they'll be in anger for. So maybe you're in denial about your dad's passing. So different people may progress differently on this stages. So it's not cast in stone that you'll be at one stage forever. It's also important for us to talk about how to cope when we grieve. Different people cope differently. There's a good coping mechanisms and then there's poor coping styles. So poor coping styles are resulting to substance use. So some people will start drinking to forget, or they'll start engaging in other behaviors just to fill in the void, or picking a lot of women because they've lost their wife. And now every night here looking for their wife and another woman, they're bringing someone else into their bed. Like people do different things to cope. So it's important that there's some people to bottle everything in. They don't talk about it. They don't grieve. They keep everything in. They are kind of imbibing everything, all the emotions. They're hiding everything, closing off. That's also not good. It's important that we cope. We find ways of expressing ourselves. We find ways of channeling that energy into something else. Because good coping mechanism can lead to you discovering yourself, discovering a new purpose, finding your own feet. It's not the end of the world. Things will get better.
I see. Let's talk about grieving children. Children are unable to fully express what they go through, how they feel. I mean, even for adults, it's very difficult to explain, exactly how you feel. So if you're a caregiver for a child who probably is grieving loss of we've been hearing of students dying, all these attacks in classrooms and all of that. And maybe you just happen to be in class where one of the students just passed, I catching my flow, and then, or also you just lost a parent, like the crash. They have parents in there, and how do caregivers make sure that these children fully grieve right, and then it doesn't stay with them for the rest of their lives?
Okay. So it depends on the stage on how old the child is. They grieve differently. So I said earlier that younger children may throw tantrums more, may revert to things that they used to do before. So if they stop sucking their thumbs, they may go back to sucking their thumbs. If they were not bedwetting, they may go back to bedwetting. They may be lashing out, throwing tantrums, doing everything except expressing the emptiness and the pain that they feel. In older children, they may be more anxious, they may be more withdrawn, they may also tell you they have somatic symptoms. Oh, my body is hurting, my head is aching, everything is fine with them. So they may be expressing themselves through bodily pains, but they will say, "Oh, I'm having a headache," and then you see that the root cause is really not anything medical, but psychological. So and then I've seen some adolescents and teens who lost their classmates and they became very anxious. They don't want to be alone, and they became sad. They became more withdrawn. They stopped doing so well in school because and they're thinking maybe I'm next. So it's important that we have the conversation with them. It's a difficult conversation because by 7 to 9 years, they they really don't know what's death, what death is.
Might just
But
be.
yeah, so we want them to know that, oh, you may not see this person again. This person probably is in a better. You have to find ways to explain to the child what is happening. If you cannot, you can employ a professional to come in to help with the conversation. And then transitioning to is very important that if you say the child is still not adjusting, you bring the child in for us to see. There are therapies that we can do, talk therapies that we'll do to support the child, grief therapy.
I see. So the lines are opened. You can call. And, if you have any question about grieving, maybe you feel like you've grieved wrongly, it's having a negative effect on you, or how to go about it, or somebody who is going through something where you can do to help the person, whatever it is. I mean, get on our socials. It's My Dominion TV on Facebook and YouTube. You can drop your comments right there. We'll be sure to read them. And also, the numbers are displayed on your screen. You can just call. Just tone down the volume of your TV set so that we can fully hear what you're saying. Grieving for pregnant women, does that have any effect on the fetus?
Well, we know that when a pregnant woman is depressed, okay, the effects are not immediately like psychological on the fetus, but mostly if you are depressed, it means you not be eating well, you not be drinking well, like you won't take better care of yourself, and then inadvertently it will affect the fetus. So it's an indirect connection with the fetus. So it's very important that pregnant women also grieve well. That when you are grieving, you have to take care of your physical needs. So you still have to exercise, you still have to eat well, you still have to check your diet. It's not something that you say you will not eat, You have to nourish your body as you're even going through the difficult emotional times so that you have the strength to move on. And then you also have to check your emotional. You can journal your thoughts, talk to somebody about it. And then we also have the responsibility of listening, having being there for the person, calling in to check on the person. How are you doing today? How are you coping with this? Okay, doing activities that will increase your mood, trying to find new things to fill in your time, to kind of get over what is gone. So it's very necessary that we go through it. Sometimes people find it difficult to overcome grief.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I had a very close friend whose mom lost the child at the age of 16 to cancer. And after that loss, she has not been the same. She was never able to go back to work. She lost her job as a top engineer. She couldn't go back, and her life just went down and down. And looking back, we now recognize that it was abnormal grief. But then, as a society, because we don't talk much on mental health, we are all quiet about it. Oh, mommy will swan also. And we don't see that, there's a need for you to bring the person in for us to assess. There's so much help. We have so many therapies, so many medications that we can give. That is not forever. It's just for that short time to support the people. It's important to know that you can have mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, coexisting with the grief. So you can be less than 6 months, you can be 3 months into grieving and still have full-blown depression going on that may need help. So when there's more than 2 weeks fine, you are sad, but then you're not able to work. You're not interested in things you used to be interested in. You are feeling excessively guilty. You know, it's so guilt is part of it, but then when it becomes excessive, now you are begging everyone for forgiveness. You are blaming yourself. You are thinking that, oh, it's better for me to join this person that has passed um other than going on with my life. You know that this grieving is becoming abnormal. So it's important for us to recognize that even before that 1 year that we are saying that we accept is up,
You should get to the
you can,
hospital.
yes, you can still have full-blown depression, full-blown anxiety attacks, full-blown other medical conditions existing with the grief. So please come to the hospital when you notice that no, this is excessive.
I know that counseling, therapy, you know, maybe somebody goes to see their pastor, or maybe somebody who, can fit into parents' roles, teachers and all of that, confidants.
Yeah.
Do you give medication?
Yeah. It depends. So I had a patient who was a nurse, was taking care of the sister. They're very close. The sister had cancer. So eventually, I mean, she passed. And then I think the sister had children. He started avoiding the children, so it actually affects even the relationships. He stopped, when he goes to work, he's unable to work. He's constantly thinking of his sister, constantly not able to sleep, like not listen to music that he used to listen to, like avoiding so many things, still feeling depressed. He came in. Yes, he met criteria for depression. We started treatment. We started therapy for him. 6 months, he was fine. So it's important that you have to come in, then we will assess. Sometimes it's not enough to talk to a pastor. It's not enough to have counseling. Sometimes it has gotten to the point where there's a need to put in some medications, something to help you sleep, something to help you relax, something to increase the chemicals that make you feel good in your body.
Right.
So it's not all the time. It's good to have some counseling, but when counseling is, I had a patient recently. It's like she's a pastor's wife, and she lost the husband, and she's not being well. Like, so, just like I'm just sad. I am just feeling sad. Um, I'm not grieving anymore. I'm okay. I'm not thinking about him, but I'm so sad. I've done so much counseling. Everybody's saying that he's going to be well, but I still don't feel like myself. And I'm like, yeah. And then we started medication. She started feeling well. So it's important that you come in. We will assess and decide. Okay, this therapy is okay. Okay, this one, let me just give a short course of medication. So let this one, we need a longer term or longer support. So the most important thing is coming in to see us.
What should the medications do? I mean, not necessarily to mention the names, but I mean, for me as a layperson, I think I'm not in the right frame of mind. I don't like medications. Even if you give me toffee and call it medicine, you have lost it right there. So what is it supposed to solve? Is it supposed to give me dopamine or all of the things?
Okay. So different medications do different things. Okay. Sometimes it could just be that the sleep is what's affecting. You are not having enough sleep because in the night
Yeah, okay.
you're constantly thinking.
We have Christopher. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Yeah. Let's hear
I
you.
wanted to ask, how can you differentiate between a healthy grief and complicated grief, like depression or something like that?
How can you differentiate?
Yeah, between healthy grief and a complicated one.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's a good question. So differentiating between healthy or normal grief and abnormal grief. So abnormal grief, the timing. So sometimes in abnormal grief, For 6 to 12 months, we allow grief. Anything after 12 months, the person is still thinking all the time about the lost, like, or the loved one, or the lost item, or the lost shop, constantly thinking about the person, constantly avoiding reminders of the person, yearning. Sometimes they yearn to be with the person. They may also be doing pining. So every time they go outside, looking out to see the person in the crowd somewhere. Even sometimes they still may be hearing voices. The hearing the person calling out your name or hearing the person's voice, after 3 months, you shouldn't hear it anymore. So if after 6 months you're still hearing the person's voice, no one is around, you are hearing the person's voice, it means that there's something going on, it's complicated. So the length of time, the intensity of the symptoms, how deep, like you're dreaming, some people dream every night, the same person, you're dreaming about the person every night. It's in your dreams all the time, then we could see this is more complicated. So normal grief, you go through all the sadness, all the processes. Within 6 to 12 months, it's gone down. Maybe anniversaries you may remember, or special occasions to remember. But then abnormal grief, the timing is too longer than 12 months. The intensity, and it's affecting your work. Because, so like my friend's mom, it's affecting her work. She could no longer go to work because she was always thinking about the child. Or you're going to work and you're not being productive.
Yeah.
Yeah, presenteeism. So that could also indicate that this is abnormal grief. So anything that affects your function in the society, you're not able to go out like you used to, even after 12 months. You see that you don't have joy. You're feeling sad. You're losing interest in things you used to do. You're feeling excessively guilty. You're having low energy. You are not concentrating. You're having poor sleep, poor appetite. You become slow. You see that no, this grief is becoming complicated. So you need to get support.
All right. So we have Ibrahim calling from Mamobi. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning.
Great. Can you please speak up a little so that the doctor can hear you?
Okay. Please, I want to know if it is normal for a grief to affect my sleep and my appetite.
Say that again, please.
Please, I want to know if it is normal for a grief to affect my sleep and my appetite.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Well, Doc.
Yeah, so yes, behavioral things that can happen during normal grief is it may affect your sleep and it may affect your appetite. So it's normal that you go through it. So because it's normal, it's important that we take it upon ourselves to make sure that even if you don't feel like eating, you still try and eat something nutritious. You can set alarms so that you know that, oh, by 9 I have to take in something, by 2 I'll take in something, by 6 I'll take in something, because it's part of the grieving process. It's normal to have appetite changes. For the sleep too, it's normal. So you know that you have to have a good sleep hygiene. You have to limit your afternoon naps so that you can sleep better in the night. You can have someone sleep by you. Sometimes, in the night they be like, oh, I'm seeing the person. So you can get that support. And then if it's too much, you can come in. We can give you medications to help you with your sleep.
I see. Well, so that's it, Ibrahim. You heard it can affect food, but why not just try and eat yeah. So I wanted to find out how you're able to get people to have closure for stuff that maybe have happened for years. They've had prolonged grieving. But they feel like, okay, the one closure they need might be with the person and the person is gone. So how do you get them to maybe do some sort of a pseudo closure, so that it helps them to move on? And then I'll take your last words so we can go.
Okay, so with that, therapy helps.
Okay.
So it depends on the kind of therapy. There are so many therapies that we give to people who are grieving.
Okay.
And for prolonged grief, know that, okay, we cannot let you, we cannot connect you obviously to the person who has passed. But what can you do? So maybe write out the things that you remember or appreciate about the person. Who there are things that we can do to help you to find that closure that you need. But half of the job is on you and half is on us. So we work together. So it's important that you come in for us to assess you and to support you as much as we can.
Great. All right. Let me take your last words and then.
Okay, so we are in a difficult time, so it's important that we recognize when people are going through difficult times to be there for them, to provide them the listening ear, and when we see that no, this is affecting their daily function. It's being too long. They are not able to function like they used to. Please bring them in. Let's give them the support that they need.
All right. So you heard the doctor. Get in there and then get the support that you need. Or if somebody's around you, just take the person so that, a good support system. But on this note, we still grieve with the families of these fallen heroes of ours. And we're praying, especially for the presidency and all the, people, the stakeholders in this, that may the Lord, give you comfort, right? And then as we go through, the funeral is tomorrow, and we're hoping and praying that it goes really well. The advice is that if you want to be a part of it, you should be seated by 7 a.m. Don't go there wearing party colors. Let's just go and mourn as a nation and do things right. We had a good day today, great discussions, and I particularly love this session, the grieving session, because we need it. I don't know how people are able to go through all the crazy in the world, but we need it. And so that's it for today. My name is Precious Biadola. I'll see you tomorrow, ready for Wake Up Africa.